Salutations viewers, my name is Game Dame and welcome to one of my Game Dame vlogs. So this is something I've been wanting to talk about for a while now. So I recently, within the past month and a half and some change or so, got summoned to jury duty. And I know that juries everywhere, or just governments everywhere, are summoning people left and right because there have been so many things that needed review pouring in from 2020. Now, I just wanted to talk about my experience. I will not state the case. I will not state exactly where it was located, especially since that's my state of residence. But I did want to talk about my experience as a whole and like what outcomes came out of it and how I now better see how things are run and how crucial it is to take every aspect that you can within a case. So what happened with me is I was summoned, and what my trial turned out to be supposedly a 2-day trial turned into a 3-day trial. But I am very glad that we had a 3 days, because the third day literally consisted of the jury duty, me being in there just deciding it the entire time, because there were like 4 charges, and I'm not going to specify what, but there were 4 charges, and they were so closely related to each other. It was very difficult to determine what this person should be charged for what. And overall, the experience was insane. So the first day you go there, and I sat in a waiting room to be picked. I had a number, of course, it was on my jury summons. And you have to show up unless like you have something that's happening in your life that you gotta let them know beforehand that you can't make it during this time. And I think you can only push it back once. I think other than that, then you'll have to do it. But to my understanding, depending on what state you're in, if you get picked and you go through a trial, I think the range is you don't have to go back next year, but the following. So I think the minimum is every 2 years, but some states have 3. So I'm not exactly sure how it is for every place, but now I don't have to go back next year for jury duty, but the year after. So the process to me was long. I did bring like my Nintendo Switch. I did bring my phone and like some snacks, because I do need to keep watch of my blood sugar levels. I'm not diabetic by any means. I mean, I have low blood sugar in general, but it's not something I need insulin for. So it was just me in the room and just waiting. And I met some people along the way. They were really cool. We got chatting a little bit, of course, mask on and everything, because that's just how it is right now, especially during pandemic times. And what ended up happening is that they took us to one of the bigger courtrooms. So this was in a very old building, and it was consistent of like hundreds of courtrooms. But because of COVID, we have to make sure we're in courtrooms that are massive, so that way they are in between plexiglass, which is what they had, or like 6 feet protocol, which is what they had as well. And it was just an interesting process, because you could totally just be on the other end of the spectrum just so you don't get jury duty. But why would you want to do that? Why don't you be true to yourself and just say, you know what, I don't agree with this because of this reason. And that almost happened to me, because there was an instance where this case had a personal effect on me. However, the way I see it is this person had nothing to do with what happened to me, and every person deserves a fair trial. Because there are too many people that go into the system that are wrongfully accused based off age, skin color, ethnicity, just your background in general, and being there at the wrong place at the wrong time. And a lot of people, whether they agree or disagree with that, that's up to them. But I believe everyone deserves a fair trial. And that's probably why they chose me for my first time ever being summoned. First off, I'd like to note that, because this was my first trial ever, and I got summoned. So I was like, what the fuck? But I am very glad I went through this experience, because now I know how much it takes, especially for a jury duty case, where how much the voice of the people matter within this system. So we're sitting there, we're taking all the notes we can, but when we actually go back there, it doesn't settle in until you're actually making the verdict with your other jury members. And that shit to me is crazy. One being the fact that you're deciding this person's fate for the rest of their lives. So you should take everything into account. If ever I was on that stand, I would 100% want people to take every aspect before deciding my fate. Because I know for a fact now that just one small yes or no, guilty, not guilty, for whatever charge you're getting, whether it be 1 or 4, could change the course of your life forever. And we did charge this person with 2 accounts, but that's all I'm going to say. But what you have to base it on is not, how do I explain this? You have to base it on how they're presenting it to you. You should not be playing detective when you're with the other jurors, I should say, instead of jury duty members. But you have to do or take what the prosecutor and the defender are giving to you. And you have to take that at face value and what they're presenting. Have they convinced you with beyond reasonable doubt or unreasonable doubt? I can't remember which one it is. But in general, they have to convince you. You're not the one going back into the jury room trying to figure out exactly what went on here, because that's what they were supposed to do. That is their job. And I know that's a really shitty thing to say, and there is cases where you want to look a little bit deeper, and that's what we kind of did as a group of jury members. We looked at the videos that they provided for us in evidence, and we made sure to look at the ones that they noted during the jury trial. Now, there was instances within the video that would have made a lot more sense or would have been a lot better to show during the trial than the ones they showed. But of course, they want to show us what they want us to believe. Now, in cases like those, I think it's totally fine to dig a little bit deeper, but you have to come back to it and be like, okay, so why didn't they show us this? Or why wasn't this? Because this is actually this and this is actually that. So you really can't just go on throughout your day and just be like, no, we have to look at every piece of evidence given and from top and down. Like you should take a look as much as you're able to and look into it, but you have to keep in mind, like I said, that was their job. If you had to do that, then they did not do their job correctly. And I know, like, not everyone's going to agree with me, but we as a jury all wanted to make sure that everyone was heard, everyone said their piece, everyone was able to make sure that they were not deceived by others, but influenced by others' decisions. Because I would never, ever want to influence another person's decision that decides another person's life. You should make that for yourself. And when it comes along with that, I was very happy because we all rose our hands, like, is everyone in agreement? And then thankfully I was not the one who had to give the verdict, but I feel bad for the person who does have to give the verdict. In general, it is such a gut-wrenching experience that you should never take it lightly. I think what we should all get back to is pretty much they're doing the most that they can, especially with the means that they have. Like my judge literally already had, like, on the 3rd day when we were not supposed to be there, 2 other cases he had to be on Zoom call for while trying to finish up with this one, which is absolutely crazy to me. So I gained a little bit newfound respect for our system, and you might not see it even if you are on the outside of things. You do not know all the specific details because we're supposed to not just keep quiet. We can talk about them to an extent now, but I don't want to because that will give away my location. But we should be mindful of why those decisions were made and how they were made, because we might not have all the details on the outside of what the media tells us. That is all what it comes down to, is the media will tell us one thing, but actually being there and experiencing it and seeing the evidence firsthand, that is something you should keep in mind. So when you guys get summoned to jury duty, keep an open mind, be as truthful as you can, be as true to yourself as you can, and everyone, and also really, really keep this in the back of your head. Everyone deserves a fair trial. Whether or not you believe they are guilty right off the bat, first off, you shouldn't be doing that, but if you believe that, you should analyze all of the evidence before making that assumption. Never assume in these cases. You should talk to your peers, your fellow jurors, that is, and see what the defendant and the defense and then the prosecution are going against each other and what they've presented to you. And it's a tough system, and if anyone influences your decision just because you want to get out of there, then shame on you. Be stern with what you believe in, and if that's what you believe in, then talk about it with the other juror members. I'm just saying this is a life-changing experience, and this is something I will never forget for the rest of my life. Whether or not I will be coming back to it, or I most likely will because of my responses, pretty much. And just take it with a grain of salt that when you're picked, that they're picking you because they think you're the best choice available. Maybe that wasn't the best way to say it, but you guys know what I mean. But thank you guys so much for watching. I highly appreciate your time as always. But please do not forget to subscribe and follow, not only to my YouTube, but to my Twitch. You guys know where my YouTube is at. You can find my Twitch at twitch.tv/thegametheme. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.